if you're an e-commerce brand that is doing between 50K to 200K per month, this is exactly the video that you need that's going to show you A to Z exactly how to set up your email marketing strategy catered to your revenue range. The issue with most online advice is they're giving you basic advice that is applicable to brands in different journeys. But your journey is completely different right now. You've got acquisition in place, you've got the basic emails and the basic flows in place, and you've got a decent strategy. Now it's about trying to scale that more aggressively to break through the 200K per month mark and even hit 500K per month. And all of that is going to be possible if you just follow this exactly step by step. I'm going to be covering your acquisition strategy, the entirety of your flow strategy, your campaigns, your sending strategy, and everything in between, to the point that you can just copy paste this. You'll probably see results in the next 30 days. And this is a blatant bribe to try and get you on a call with us. So with that being said, send this to your team, apply this yourself, whatever you have to do. Trust me, you have to watch until the end. Let me jump into it so that I don't waste your time. All right, so like I said, if you're a 50K to 200K per month brand, this is going to be completely catered to you. And there's 3 levers that you need to be pulling at this point. The first video that I did, which I highly recommend that you can go and watch, is anyone that is stuck below 50K per month. If you're not stuck there, don't even bother with the video. But at that point, you are basically running the basic email marketing. You have your flows, campaigns, and your sign-up form in place, and you're doing some decent sending from time to time. But overall, you're a founder that's wearing many hats. Now you're stepping into the area of considering agencies and scaling a little bit more aggressively. And so you're focusing on 3 levers rather than the one that you focus on at 50K per month. At 50K per month, you're focused on acquisition. That's it. Now you're switching your focus. Acquisition is happening, but now you need to move the needle a bit more aggressively. And that's where you put into place levers of AOV, LTV, and retention. That's what you should be focusing on. And so this is where you're at right now, right? You're growing your brand and there's decent acquisition. So ads are working, conversion is fine, list is growing. The problem is what happens after the purchase. And you'll see exactly what I mean. Right now, you're only extracting 25% of each customer's value, because a typical buyer has 4 times more LTV than what you're capturing, which means that there's 75% of potential revenue left on the table, which is great news to you, but terrible news if you're doing nothing about it. And so this is basically what happens, right? Almost everyone buys once and then disappears. So you've got great acquisition. People are coming in and they're buying, but only 78% of your list is a one-time buyer, which means that 15% are maybe going to buy twice or more, 5% are going to buy 3 times or more, and then 2% of your audience, which is barely anything, is buying 4 times or more. And so that means that 78% of your customers will never come back, and that is the bucket that we want to focus on. So you have these, right? These are basically the same metrics, they're not moving at all. AOV, LTV, and RPR, right? Which is retention rate, basically. And so this is about, you've kind of fulfilled stage 1, which is filling the list. Stage 2 is actually about milking that list, because now you have different problems and different levers. And so you're going to do that with a 6-point strategy. Number 1, an advanced sign-up form, which I'm going to show you in detail. An extended flow for every single flow, which I'll show you as well. 2 to 3 campaigns weekly. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And a 5-segment strategy, as well as split testing. And then lastly, you want to now start considering adding loyalty and subscription tools. So instead of just relying on one retention channel, which is email, you want to start introducing SMS and these additional tools. And so this is basically what it will start to look like. You're going to have a 5-send segment matrix, which is essentially going to send you 120-day engaged, repeat customers, one-time purchases, engaged purchases, and non-buyers. Whereas before, you were just focused on your engaged list. That's kind of where you were at, and you were sending 1 to 2 times weekly. And now, instead, your welcome flow is a little bit longer. So before, you had about 5 emails in the welcome flow. Now you're going to extend that, and you're also going to extend it with some split tests. Cart abandonment was sitting at 2 or 3. Now you're going to extend that. Post-purchase, you had basically nothing before, and so you're going to add 5 or so emails into that one. The win back you either didn't have, or you had 1 to 2 emails, and now we're going to fix that as well. And so this is what it should look like now. You're going to have this advanced sign-up form. You're going to have this welcome flow. You're going to recover all of these abandonments, and you're also going to have a side abandonment over here. They're the people that buy, they're now being filtered into a post-purchase flow, which you probably didn't have before. And then you got this full cycle, right? So you got, this is basically your entire cycle that you can pause and take a look at. Now let's take a look at what happens afterwards. After putting this in place and having these 3 levers, we now have the same traffic and the same list, but a different system and increased value. So before we had a $58 AOV, for example. Now we're going to have a $80 AOV. And LTV is going to go from $72 to $162, repeat purchase rates 22% to 42%. So again, with the same list, you're getting just additional value and milking it a lot more. And so what we're going to do here is take a look at the email revenue share. So for example, if you're setting 150K per month, you should be making about 67K from emails minimum. We'll show you backends to back that up. And then lastly, you should have a 2.25x LTV multiplier. And so this is what it used to look like, right? And I've broken this down in so much detail. Definitely stay, because it's basically a step-by-step on what to build out and how to build out for your revenue range. And so let's take a look at what you had previously. I just broke this down in a different video. You can watch that if it appeals to you. But right now, this is not your problem. This is what you did have set up. You had a basic sign-up form that captured emails. It showed the discount, and then I let them in. If you still have this, just know this is outdated. You need to update this, which I'm going to show you exactly how. Your welcome flow looked something like this, maybe a little bit barer. And then your cart abandonment looks something like this. 2 emails in here, maybe. Your checkout abandonment looks something like this. Your browse abandonment, something like this, 2 emails or so. And then this was your sending. You were maybe sending to your engaged list, and you were only sending a plain text and maybe an image base here and there, and you're sending 1 to 2 times per week maximum. And so your sending is going to look very different, and your strategy very different. So instead of this is what you had previously, this is what you're going to put into place now. Now what you're going to do is you've got traffic, but now you want to figure out how to get more of them onto the website with different offers and different appeal. And so some great way to play this is to put together a mystery offer, number 1, and also make it interest focused. So now instead of just immediately giving them the discount and they just need to give an email and they know what they're getting, you want to make it a mystery offer, and you want to make sure that they choose their interest. This is going to be so important, because in your marketing message, you want to start to understand your audience better and cater your strategy to them. And so in this case, this is a breeze, an incredible brand. They scaled incredibly quickly by understanding their audience. And what they did is they asked questions. So let's just say that you are selling gummies. You want to know whether people need improvements in their focus, their sleep, or their performance. Ask that, and then when they fill it out, then you get the email, and then you have a success page explaining the discount that they have. This is the power. This is exactly what you need to set up right now, is this sign-up form. Now you're capturing, and you've got this sign-up form set up. So it's interest first, then email, then a success page. And keep in mind, you probably want to throw SMS in at this point, but we'll just focus on email for right now. Then you want to lead them to the welcome flow, which you've already got in place. So you've got the welcome flow, the cart flow, checkout flow, and browse flow. Now what you want to build out is a site flow, a post-purchase flow, and a win-back flow. These are the 3 additional flows you need to have in place to make sure that the lever is being pulled a lot stronger and that you're seeing better growth. So let's take a look at the welcome flow specifically. The welcome flow might not need additional emails, but it does need a lot more strategy. So once they go from the sign-up form, they're going to go and enter into this newsletter funnel. And from here, you want to make sure that the first email is short, shows them the discount, shows them reviews, and shows them categories. This is all you need to put in that email. Then you're going to wait a day, and you're going to send a plain text email from the founder. There's going to be a personal outreach. You're going to remind them of the code. This is specifically to anyone that hasn't ordered or has not opened the email. Then you can send a more aggressive reminder if you so choose. This is optional. It depends on your brand and how aggressive you want to be, but you can also split test this. Then we wait 3 days, and then we're sending an about us email. So this is transparency. This is introducing the team, introducing the brand, the difference of them, and then ideally a dosage guide or a styling guide, for example, if you're a clothing brand, and then another message from the founder. That is the elite way to build it out. And here's an example of how Byte does it. Incredible brand. And so what they do well is they basically welcome you to the routine. They got their code right up top there. Ideally, they should have a call to action. That is one piece of feedback I would give them. And then they explain exactly how this is going to work being on the list. Incredible value add. Then the second one is a plain text email from the founder. This is a great example of how to incorporate that into your emails, but keep and maintain your branding. The third one is how they're different, and they're showing exactly what they make and what you can buy. The fourth one is, again, another breakdown of their best products and reviews. So are you not convinced? Here are some reviews. And then lastly, just a simple short reminder about the welcome code. So use this as inspiration for what your welcome flow should look like. It's high quality graphics, high quality writing and copy, and a really clever approach depending on the pain points of your customers. Then when you get your cart abandonment, probably looks something like this already, but now what you want to do is you want to get more strategic and think about why they're abandoning the cart abandonment and the checkout abandonment, because there's different reasons for both. And so you want to run a different strategy for each one. And ideally, you want to extend this to 3 and 4 emails. I know that's not shown here, but ideally you do want 4 emails. Once you want to scale to the 500K mark and you want to, you've already hit 200K as your threshold, you want to focus on my 500K per month strategy that I filmed the other day as well. I'll link it somewhere in this video. But for now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are sending at least 3 to 4 emails and thinking about why they abandoned this in the first place. And you want to make sure they can re-enter this, right? And so the way that people are going to see this is you want to wait 40 minutes. You want to send them, hey, your order is ready to ship. And the reason people abandon the cart as opposed to the checkout is because at the cart phase, right, they haven't made it to the billing phase. And so what they did is they didn't like the cost that they saw in their cart. They just want to keep kind of a wish list of items. It's a complicated process to get to the checkout. And most importantly, they are not ready to purchase or they're comparing pricing. Super, super important. So what you want to do is in the first email, you want to say your order is ready to ship, add a little bit of urgency. And here you want to show them exactly what they left behind, show them reviews, and do not show any other products. Then the second email is where you introduce an offer in case it was a pricing pain point, but you don't want to assume that was the case. Introduce the offer in the second email, add some urgency, show some specific differences of an us versus them. And then the last email is a simple, short espresso shot offer. And then if you want to add a fourth, I recommend making it a plain text email. Now, in terms of split tests, make sure that you're split testing image versus text-based and split testing showing other products versus no products, and then reviews versus UGC. Those are elements you can split test in both cart abandonment and checkout abandonment. Now, the checkout abandonment is slightly different. Checkout abandonment, they now are faced with different issues. They've made it all the way to the checkout page, which means they liked your pricing, they liked your product, and they trusted you enough to almost give you their payment information. But something deterred them. It's usually shipping costs, shipping times taking too long, the form for billing taking too long, or maybe there's a few, just guilt or fear around buying your product. Maybe it won't arrive, blah, 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 and some last second buyer's remorse. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we trigger this sooner than the cart abandonment. So you'll notice this is 40 minutes or 50 minutes, and this one is 35 or 30 minutes. And here we want to make sure that we show them exactly what they left behind. We want to ideally show reviews about the shipping time and about the benefits of the product. And then lastly, we want to talk about shipping times, shipping offer, whatever it is. Maybe introduce free shipping in this email. Then we want to wait 2 hours or so and then introduce some urgency. And then we want to repeat this strategy over here, but by showing them different things to the cart abandonment. Then over here, what we want to do is we want to do a browse abandonment. And this is how the structure should look. 3 to 4 emails minimum here. The reason why they don't go follow through and add something to the cart or place a order at this point is because they didn't see anything they liked yet. They don't know how to use your product enough. They just found you on ads and probably redirected to a specific landing page. And then they didn't see something that matched up with what the ad was saying, or, they're comparing products and pricing, or they didn't get the information they needed to make a decision. Those are huge pain points. And so with the browse abandonment, you immediately want to trigger them and say, hey, did you see anything you like? Here are, here's exactly what you took a look at. But also, here are similar products that other people buy if they don't like this one. And here are reviews and testimonials. And you need to make sure that this is personalized to your brand. Then the second email is ideally some kind of dosage guide or a category explanation. If you're a jewelry brand or a clothing brand, you want to do a style guide, and then show exactly who this is for. Make an archetype email. So if you sell, let's just say non-alcoholic beverages that help with socializing, you want to make sure that you're explaining who that product is for. So, hey, this product is for the person that wants to be in bed by 9 p.m. This product is for the person who goes out regularly and just needs a bit of social lubrication. So it's things like that, and explaining exactly who the product is for and when it's for. Do the thinking for them, show more reviews. Then the last few emails is a temptation offer. That's where you introduce some kind of offer. So those are the basic ones. You already have them in place, but now you know how to strategically approach them a little bit better. Now let's take a look at what you actually have to introduce. Now that you have got those basic flows in place and you've expanded them, right? and you've introduced, by the way, you have to introduce a site abandonment that is somewhat similar to this, and that is just if anyone has actually viewed the website but not made an additional step. So you got all of those basic flows in place. Now, the real strategy is going to come in where you build out a win-back flow and a post-purchase flow. Super, super important, because this is going to target lapsed customers, and this is going to target one-time purchases and get them to repeat purchase. So these are doing incredible work for your backend. And this is what you don't have before you reach 50K per month. You don't really need them. But now that you're really dialing in your strategy, this is what you need. And so there's a few reasons people become win-back opportunities. Number one, the product just didn't work for them because they probably used it incorrectly. Number two, maybe the price they can't justify, especially if they got a really great offer on the welcome offer and they buy their first product, they like it, but they come back and the price is way more than they remember. Maybe they had a negative experience. Maybe they're cutting costs in times of economic crisis, or maybe they have better competitor pricing. And so what you want to do is you want to understand what the main pain points are for people not to return. And you can do this a few ways. You can call your customers, you can send them a survey email, like an anonymous survey email, whatever you want to do to gather that information, but you should at this point understand that information. And so what you want to do is you want to make the trigger a segment-based trigger. And how this is going to work is anyone that placed an order at least once over all time and has not placed an order in the last 90 days. You need to calculate what your win back is. If someone bought jewelry, they're probably not going to come back for another 3 to 6 months. So your timing needs to be very different. Change the timing depending on what your AOV and your product is. But our average life cycle for our brands that we work with tends to be a little bit sooner. So we like to make it 90 or 75 days. And so let's just say that we are a 90-day lapse customer. We want to wait a day and we want to send an email at a specific time. Then we're going to send them an email and we're going to show them exactly what else is similar to what they had and show them some other use cases. Then we're going to throw in an offer to try and bribe them to come back, and we want to try and either do a bundling or show them some samples or whatever it is. Wait a day, do a reminder, and then lastly, we want to, as a last resort, send them a message from the founder checking in. This is where we want to give them a chance to opt out or re-opt in, and then we remove these contacts from the list. Super, super, super important. Then the post-purchase. Now, the post-purchase is arguably the most underrated, but the most important flow that you can build out at this stage. Reason being is almost 95% of the accounts that I audit do not have this in place. It doesn't matter what revenue range. So you're going to be way ahead and be able to scale way faster just by having this in place, which is basically also a post-experience kind of, it's basically a post-purchase experience, if you want to call it that. And so what I like to think about is, why do I return to one of my favorite restaurants? Is it really strictly just the food? Because I've had great food in many places, but actually it ends up being the service I received, how I felt being there. Usually, it doesn't matter how good the food is. If you had terrible service, you're never going to recommend it to anyone. You're never going to come back. And so that's kind of the way I think about this flow. You want to make sure that the service is so exceptional, regardless of how the product actually feels to them right now, they are more likely to come back because of the way you treated them. And so your perception of the product is going to increase. So for example, what we want to do is when they place an order for their first time, we want to send them a message, a branded email saying, hey, thank you. Or ideally make this a plain text email. We want to send it from the founder, thanking them for their order, saying, hey, it really means a lot to us. This is what you bought into. This is more than just a brand. This is a movement. This is who we want to become and who we want our customers to become. So you send that email and you want to say something along the lines of, pay attention to your email over the next few days. I'm going to specifically be sending you dosage guides and a bunch of information that'll help you use the product and get the most out of it. Then you want to wait a day. And here is where you send some kind of, hey, are you using the product correctly? So if you're a wellness brand, send them a dosage guide and use cases. If you are a jewelry brand or a clothing brand, send them some style guides with their specific product and some UGC of people wearing those things. If you are some other company, so let's just say that you're a shoe brand, same thing. If you sell diapers, you want to show them how best to use that product, what other moms are saying. So you can really use this in any facet. If you're a golfing brand, you want to show people how, maybe send them like a free golfing workshop or whatever it is. So you just want to give them exceptional experience, teach them how to use your product correctly so they have a better outcome from the product and therefore trust your product more, see the results from your product. And so Once they have gotten their product delivered, you want to send that email. And then what you want to do is you want to wait around the lifetime value of your customer. So let's just say that you know a customer is very likely to purchase again, or they should purchase again around the 30-day mark because it's a replenishable. Or if you're a jewelry brand, clothing brand, ideally you want to wait around 3 months or whatever it is. Then you want to send an email at whatever point they're supposed to repurchase. And you want to send it a few days before they're supposed to repurchase. And this is going to be hey, we've got something else for you. And this is going to be a reminder to reorder and an upsell. Now what you want to do is you want to wait and send another email once they place a second order. Then from their second order, you want to say, hey, thank you for coming back. And ideally send them a subscribe and save, or push your loyalty program. So whichever one you have in place, if you have both, that's great. Push the subscribe and save instead. But you want to upsell them to something that means a little bit more, whether that's a loyalty program or a subscription. And then you want to get a review, because what is better than getting a review from someone who is happy enough to have just placed their second order? You can't beat that. Then once they place their third order, this technically puts them in as a VIP, and you want to make sure they get store credit that encourages them to come back again, and also an acknowledgement for how dedicated they are as a customer. Nothing feels better to a customer than knowing they're in the top league and that you actually look after them for being that person. So the flows are set up. Now you can just pause the video, you can go back to whichever flow you need to build out, look at the structure, rebuild it. Now what we want to do is we want to dial in our campaigns. And before, you were probably just sending to your engaged campaigns or your engaged list, and that was about it. Now you want to expand that. You want to send 2 to 3 times a week instead of the 1 to 2 times. And you want to make sure you're sending to 5 different segments, right? And you want to make sure that you're catering for these strategies separately. This is exactly what we do for our clients. So if you are sitting at this revenue range and you're looking for an agency to come in and build all of this out for you so you don't have to worry, and build out the strategy for campaigns and build everything from start to finish, all to the point that you have to touch nothing and your entire email program works on autopilot with proven and guaranteed ROI, go down below, book in a call. Love to work with you. But this is basically what we do for our clients. We make sure that we're sending different strategies based on the different segments they have, which is what you should be doing at this revenue range. You should not be sending the same email to everyone. Instead, these are the lists, right? You need to be sending separate emails to your win-backs or your lapsed customers, especially considering that they might not have converted from your win-back flow. Make sure that you're sending them different messaging. Try and figure out what gets them back, why they left. Make sure they're seeing things that are the highest converting campaigns and that you're using best offers on them. Then you have your customers that have only ever purchased once. Now, this is slightly different to your win-backs and your lapsed, right? You want to make sure that we're trying to get them to be repeat customers and that we are getting them to increase their AOV. Repeat customers, same thing. You want to increase AOV. You know they're going to come back and purchase. Now, how do we increase AOV? And how do we make sure that we're not setting them offers so that we're not discounting our brand for customers that are going to buy anyway? Then our engaged non-buyers, what can we do? Because these people are reading our emails. They're engaged. They are interested in our brand, but they haven't converted. How do we convert them? And then, of course, engage 180, they get majority of our campaigns. And in terms of campaigns, this is what we're sending out. Now, we want to make sure that we're not sending boring campaigns, number one, but number two, we're adding diversity. So number one, we're not just sending educational campaigns in the boring sense where we say, hey, this is what's in our product and this is what it does and blah, blah, blah. We're not sending one-on-one campaigns. What we're actually doing is we're really intelligently making sure that we're fitting the email to the timing. So it's a small thing, but for example, this is an email that went out just before the weekend. And what the wording and the phrasing is basically, hey, we know the weekend's coming. This is how you can skip the hangover. It's relevant, number one. Number two, we're not just saying, hey, by the way, this is what happens. Relax gummies allow for fun without a hangover and blah, blah, blah. Instead, we're showing a this versus that on very intelligent, scenarios that people might be doing this weekend. So now you're bridging together actual strategy and thinking it from a customer's perspective instead of just saying, hey, by the way, here's the best weekend hangover cure and putting together some random email that doesn't have any sensibility, right? So this is a great email. Second email, again, this, instead of saying, hey, did you know our product does this, this, and this? It is myths debunked. So it's almost like doing exactly that, but repackaging it. So you're taking these really common ideas that brands do and things that you should be doing, but you're repackaging them in a really tasteful way that produces results. Then, of course, comes along plain text emails. There's two that you should be doing at this rate. You should be doing a newsletter at least bi-weekly, which means every second week, and then you should be doing a plain text email regularly. And this plain text email should have a persona. At this point, it's not a random email from the team. It should be from the founder. It should be someone that has a lot of value in the company. So for example, Breeze does this really well where they send it from Corbin and then once a month they send it from the founder. That should be your ordeal as well. Then with Ritual, they did this kind of newsletter style email and then they allow you to go and shop at the bottom. So the entire purpose is not to just redirect you to a sale. It is actually to provide value, and then as a byproduct of that value, you place an order. And that is kind of what all of your emails should do. Notice how none of them are just pushing discounts left, right, and center. Yes, Breeze is sending a Memorial Day sale, but even when it comes to Memorial Day sales, you need to be sending at least 3 to 4 emails, for example. When it comes to Black Friday, you need to have that output. You need to be able to send at least 3 to 4 emails where it is a teaser, announcement, last call, or reminder and last call. That's what you should be sending. And there needs to be a mix between image-based and plain text, but make sure it's high quality enough and it follows best design principles. Notice how every visual email has a headline, subtext, CTA. That's exactly what you need to do for your formula for high converting emails. So with that being said, that's exactly how you're going to build a 200K per month minimum strategy without missing a beat. This is exactly what you have to follow. Follow it step by step. I guarantee you in the next 30 days, you're going to see at least a 12% increase to revenue, and then carry on, you're going to see continuous progress. So take a look at this backend, for example, right? This is a brand that we just started with in March, and you can see that previously they were doing 230K or so, and we added an extra 50K per month just from email marketing. Because keep in mind, sometimes the attribution will be included in revenue that's coming from ads. We don't count that. But if we just take the 12% increase that came from this, you will notice that if we go take a look at the timeline, let's look at Feb instead, when they didn't have any email marketing. You're going to see on average, they're doing 230K. And so we added an extra 50K per month just within the first 30 days of applying all of these strategies. And of course, we are scaling month over month. So with that being said, take a look at the revenue that was being generated from our flows. Look, every single one was carrying its weight, and at least, 14K from these two flows, another 10K from these flows. So a minimum of around 30K coming from the entirety of their basic flows. And an extra 30K to your revenue will probably mean a huge load, because you can take that 30K profitability that's generated on autopilot, that's coming from your ad traffic, reinvest it in ads and scale way faster. And that's the trick to breaking through the 200K threshold and getting to 500K a month. Now, with that being said, go down below, book in a call if you want to work with us, but otherwise subscribe. I'm going to be doing more of these videos focusing on different revenue ranges so you know what applies to you. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe, watch the others.